Hello, this is Bruce, and welcome to my second video, which will cover some highlights of the Constitution and its articles. If you watched my last video, I covered the history of Congress and the Declaration of Independence. The following information is from the Constitution and from Cliff Notes. I like to reference where I obtain material whenever I can to give credit to those who put it together. There will be a third introductory video covering the amendments before getting into the news of Congress. However, some news will be covered during this video. As I went through the Constitution, there was really a lot of interesting information. Some I will skim, while other areas I will cover in more detail since it applies to what is going on around us now. It would be nice if I could also put slides together. Perhaps that will come at some point. The Constitution itself is a sparse document, providing few details about how the U.S. government would run itself. It explains roughly the organization of the three branches, legislative, executive, and judicial, how they interact with the states, and how the document could be amended. Filling in the details was left to the future leaders. Interesting. Article 1 is the longest article, which includes 10 sections in the Constitution, and it vests legislative power in the Senate and the House of Representatives. It describes the organization of Congress and lists its specific powers, known as enumerated or delegated powers. Congress can make laws needed to carry out its enumerated powers. Article 1 also lists the powers denied to Congress and the states. The House shall choose their Speaker and other officers. As of this taping, the House Speaker has not yet been voted on by the House members for the 117th Congress, which is today, January 3rd. More on that in my third video. The House shall also have the sole power of impeachment. The Senate has the sole power to try all impeachments. When the President is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside. No person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. As you know, the impeachment procedures of the President happened in 2020 and followed this format. The Vice President of the United States shall be the President of the Senate, but not have a vote unless there is a tie. This could happen more times than not based on the upcoming Georgia Senate runoffs, which is Tuesday, January 5th. If both Democrats win both seats, the Senate will be split 50-50. In this Article 1, it also gives Congress the authority to declare war. And this is just my take. We are closer to the possibility of a war or conflict than we have been in years. Not such a good feeling. Since I am also covering news in Congress, I bring this news up. Tensions have been rising rapidly between the United States and Iran. Article 2. This article deals with the executive branch and describes the election of the President and Vice President, the qualifications for holding the office, and the procedures if a president can no longer serve. The powers of the president includes serving as commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy, making treaties, and, with the advice and consent of the Senate, appointing ambassadors, officials, and Supreme Court justices. We certainly heard a lot about Supreme Court justices in 2020. The President is required to periodically report to Congress on the state of the Union, can propose legislation, and can call Congress into special session. This article also gets into the nuts and bolts of electors who are appointed by each state they represent to submit by ballot to the President of the Senate, who is the Vice President, who shall, in the presence of the Senate and House, open all the certificates from the electors that will decide the President and Vice President. This time around, some members of the Senate and the House plan to contest the presidential election on Wednesday, January 6th. Some senators and House members are contesting irregularities in the voting count from at least 6 states. Article 2 then gets into more detail if there were a tie vote from the electors, or not a majority leader. Then, how the House is authorized to vote who the next president will be, while the Senate votes for the vice president. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution shall be eligible to the office of the president. The person must be at least 35 years old and have been a resident within the United States for 14 years. The president has the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. During the impeachment proceedings in 2020, Article 2 was in effect that states the president, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. At the end of the proceedings, the president was not impeached or convicted. Article 3. This article establishes the Supreme Court and authorizes Congress to establish lower federal courts. The types of cases the courts have jurisdiction over are given, and a provision is made for the right to trial by jury. While not specifically stated, the power of the courts to declare a law unconstitutional is implied. Article 4 requires that the legislative and judicial actions of one state be honored by the other states. Additionally, a citizen of any state has the same privileges as citizens of all the other states. Article 4 also provides for adding new states to the Union, guarantees each state a form of government, and ensures protection against invasion or domestic violence. New states may be admitted by the Congress into the Union, but no new state shall be formed within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of 2 or more states, or parts of states, without the consent of the legislators of the states concerned, as well as the Congress. This idea has been discussed from time to time. What is interesting that I haven't found written is what if a state wants to break away from the Union? The only place where I think it might fit is in Article 6, which states, "All shall be bound to support this Constitution." Article 5. The process of amending the Constitution is described in this article. The states are responsible for ratifying amendments. The Constitution, under Article 5, provides that amendments can be proposed either by Congress with a 2/3 vote of both houses or by a national convention requested by 2/3 of the state legislators. Amendments are ratified by 3/4 of the state legislature or by conventions in 3/4 of the states. Sounds confusing, but that is why new amendments aren't approved very often. Article 6. The Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties entered into by the United States are the supreme law of the land. This is known as the Supremacy Clause. Article 7, which is the last article, provides approval by conventions of 9 of the states, which was required to ratify the Constitution. This is a good point to stop, since there was a lot covered. The next video will go over the amendments to the Constitution. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what I'm doing, please click the thumbs up and subscribe. Until then, be safe.